All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a, well, when we talked last time, we talked about, oh, you know what, I forgot to add. So we talked about making a sprint function. So let's actually talk about that now. So sprint function. And then we also talked about a, what else did we talk about? There was a sprint function. I thought there was something else we discussed. Maybe not.
The stamina bar?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's a sprint function with a stamina bar. So let's do that. So I'm going to get rid of this movement types blueprint that I have here. If you have one already, you can remove it as well. If you do not have one, because I was talking really fast at the end of class, that's cool. Don't worry about it. So what we want to do is we want to go to our content browser and to our user interface folder. And inside there, we're going to right click. We're going to get this context menu. We're going to go to interface, user interface, and we're going to go to widget blueprint. So our widget blueprint is going to house our stamina bar, and it's going to tick down. But the actual sprinting function and the tick down values are going to happen in the player character. So you got to understand it's like this sort of separation, right? The widget is just giving the player feedback or display of what's happening, but the actual logic of the sprint values are going to happen in the player character itself. All right, so anyway, widget blueprint is what we want. We're going to do WBP underscore movement, or we can do sprint stamina bar. We need to do something else. So we have this player indicator that's giving us just a single dot in the center of the screen, but then we're also going to have the stamina bar at the bottom. So we need to have like a HUD that's going to house both that indicator and the stamina bar and health bar and mana bar and score keeping and getting levels and all that. So we need another widget that's just going to be like a player HUD. So right click again, user interface again, widget blueprint again, and it's going to be WBP underscore, and we'll do player HUD.
So do you have to make another widget for every item on the HUD, like every health bar or stamina bar or something?
You do not. You do not. As a matter of fact, we can build everything inside this single widget if we wanted to. However, when I personally make widgets, when I make interfaces, I like to have them separated. So like the health bar, it's its own widget that has its own logic that does its own thing. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably have the health and the mana as one widget that does its own sort of thing, right? The main menu would be its own widget, but inside that main menu would have a widget called buttons, or sorry, a widget called button, and then I'm just duplicating that widget over and over inside the main menu. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's go to our sprint stamina bar. We're going to go into there. We'll double click it and open it up, and of course it went on the other screen. And then we want a in the palette right here. We're going to type in the search bar, and we're going to type in I forget what it's called. Progress bar, I think it is. Progress bar, yeah, progress bar. So I just typed in like progress. I didn't finish it, and then it found it for me. So I'm just going to drag that right onto our canvas panel. And then I will right click and say rename, or you can hit F2 right here in our hierarchy. We're going to call this sprint stamina bar. Now, when I do that, you'll notice that it became bolded. That's because it became a variable. You see right here in the details panel where it says is variable that I'm clicking on. It's because we're making it so that we can manipulate this bar, or that it's just sort of like static in the widget, and the player that it has no interactivity behind it. But in our case, it is going to have an interactivity, right? Because we're going to determine how long the player can run through the stamina bar. Okay, so in our viewport, I don't know what this is called. I think it's called a viewport. Right here, we have this little flower looking thing. And if I grab this flower, it sort of does nothing, right? This is our anchor. And I think I talked about this very, very briefly in the player indicator, but the anchor allows us to manipulate the shape, size, and position on the screen of whatever we're manipulating. In this case, we're manipulating a progress bar, right? But what we want to do is we want to go to manipulate this the way we want to make it look, is we're going to go to anchors in our details panel, right here, anchors. It gives us a bunch of different options of kind of like, where do you want it to sort of be placed? And then you can kind of offset it or whatever. In our case, we want it just like right. And I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to put mine sort of like right in the middle, but just a little bit above the absolute screen edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. And when I do, you see that it moves the anchor, but it did not move my progress bar. That's because in order for me to modify the alignment of the progress bar and the position, I need to hold down Shift and Control and then click on it. And when I do, you can see now it didn't change the shape or size of it, but it did move it to where I want it to be. So I'll do that again. Undo, 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 undo. Here's our little progress bar. It looks something like that. I'll go to the details panel, anchors, and I'm going to click on this, hold down Control and Shift and click on this bottom one, and it'll move it down to the bottom for me like that. By the way, you're good, Alex and Rob. You guys are fine. I already marked you all present.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so what we want to do is we want to position it upwards. Now, what I typically do is I know that it's going to be on the y-axis, right? Y is this way and x is this way. So I'm just going to what I'm doing is I'm left click and dragging to do this sort of thing. And you can see as I'm doing that, it's moving it. Or I can just give it a value of like, I don't know, -80 or something like that. Excuse me, maybe -65. That looks okay. Maybe -60. Looks okay. And then I can also still scale this as I see fit. But when I do, you can see it's kind of messing with my X position here. So I don't want to do that actually. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to modify it right here on our X and Y. And when I do, you can see this squashing and stretching while keeping it centered. You see that? So I'm going to make it something like that, just a little bar. Maybe we'll do, I don't want it to be float values. I mean, it's a float value, but I want it to be sort of 0 dot. So we'll do 570. What is this, 43? We'll do 40. That's good. That's fine by me. You can put whatever values you want or shape it however you want to. Doesn't matter. And then right here where it says %, we're going to change that to 1. And when I do, you see that it fills it up to blue, right? So 0 to 1. You can times that by 10 and get 100, right? But the stamina bar should be filled, and then over time it depletes. And then when the player stops sprinting, we fill it back up until it gets to 100. And actually, I've never made this logic, so we'll have to figure. I may mess up, and we'll have to figure out any mistakes. And we can talk about how I'm solving those mistakes as we're doing this. Let's do this. So right here where it says behavior, visibility, we're going to change that to non-hit testable. Sorry. And the difference here for visible and non-hit testable is that if it for visible and I have the mouse cursor available while I'm playing the game, right? Like I'm messing with my inventory or something, you know, I'm messing with UI, I'm clicking on buttons. That means that widget is visible and we're allowing the player to sort of click on it and interact with it in some way. Non-hit testable for self only means that this particular item only cannot be clicked on, right? It can't be interacted with. It's still there, it's still visible, but the user can't click on it. So as an example, if I added a button that the user could click on, and you do not have to do this, you can see here that if it's visible, player can click on it. If it's non-hit testable, the player will not be able to click on it. Okay, so what you want is not hit testable or non-hit testable, self only. And then if just for your awareness, right, self and all children are just like we were doing in our blueprint where we had like a root and then we like added a light and then we added this other thing and it was like child of child of child of child of child. It's the same thing. So if we have, you can't add, let's see, I'll do it this way, or horizontal block. So I'm spelling it wrong, that's why. So we could have like this, and then maybe we could have like a button, and then the button, and maybe have text. And so here's our horizontal box with our cool button in it, right? If I do horizontal box as non-hit testable, you can see it's set to self only. The button will still work because the button is visible, but the horizontal box, I mean, obviously it has no interaction, so it doesn't matter. But if I had set this particular horizontal box as self and children, then now, even though the button is set to visible, it will not work because it is a child of horizontal box. Make sense? Total tangent, but that's cool. Hopefully you guys learned something. That's what matters. Okay, so let's see. Do we need to mess with anything else? I don't think so. Let's look at style. We can change the color if we want. Maybe we want it to be like, so this is like the non-filled color. Maybe we want it to be like super black or something, or much darker color. And so as it fills, it's like this black. Maybe not. Maybe I don't want it that way. What did I do? Tint, this one, tint. We'll click on this little thing right here to reset it. And now when it fills, sort of like a grayish color, that's cool, it's fine. Cool, I think that's fine. We'll leave it the way it is. Let's compile and save. And let's go into our event graph, our graph right here, which will lead us to the event graph. And you'll notice that we have this variable called sprint stamina bar, and that's because I checked it in the designer is variable. And make sure yours is checked as well. It should be. If you renamed it, it's checked. So what we want to do is we're going to go sprint stamina bar. Oh, wait, let's see. When I click on this, I need my details. Why cannot, what else? I thought there's events. So not events for the stamina bar. Maybe not. I thought there was something like is change. Let's see. Is change or something like that. Get percent. Okay, I'm doing something wrong. Direction inherit, it's all good. So tooltip is enabled. Oh, that's a binding, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to bind it. I want to do something like it, an event where we're saying check it when it's getting changed. Oh, we need a slider. Let's see. Is the slider going to do my event on value change? I don't want to do a slider. I want to do a progress bar. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way. All right, so back to our event graph. So what you want to do is you want to grab your stamina bar, the variable, and you want to do a getter. So you can either hold down Control and left click and drag to do that. We'll come out of there and we're going to do set %, I believe it is. Yeah, here it is, set %. And we will drag out of this again. And we're going to do get %. There we go. And let's create this as a function. So I'm going to grab all three of these, left click and drag to get all three of them. I'm going to right click it and say collapse to function. So selecting all three, collapse to function. And we'll call this set progress bar.
How'd you do the collapse thing?
Sure. One more time. So I select all three of them. So you can see I have all three selected. These are all yellow. I right click on any of the nodes and you can see right here it says collapse to function.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. What I call this set stamina progress percentage, something like that. It doesn't matter what you name it. And we'll go into that function. And you can go into the function by just double clicking it. Or you can go right here into your My Blueprints set stamina progress bar and you just double click it like that. And we may actually not need this one. We'll see. We'll see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drag out of the set %. Right here where it says the green one, we're going to drag out of that. And we're going to connect it to this purple one. Just like that. And we'll compile and save.
I'm not able to connect the purple one.
You have to go from the green to the purple.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
Okay. Share your screen and we'll take a look.
Okay. Hey, can you see?
Yep. No, not to the white. You're going to do it right below the white or anywhere in the node itself, but not to the white pin. There you go.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Cool. All right. We'll leave it as in percentage. That's fine. We'll save this for now. We'll leave that how it is. We'll probably have to come back to that. So save, compile and save. And we'll come back to that. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Let's go to our player HUD. And in our player HUD, we're going to go to the palette. We're going to search. And this time we're going to search for our unique widgets. So we're going to type in WBP _ player indicator. And it should show up. And I'm just going to drag that onto the canvas panel. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the stamina bar. So WBP _ sprint stamina bar. There it is right there. I'm going to drag that onto the canvas panel. And you notice that when I do that, that they are up here in the corner because that's where the anchor point is. Same for the stamina bar, right? It's offset a little bit because it's where the anchor point is. So we'll have to fix that. It's very easy to fix. We're just going to click on, we'll click on the player indicator first. It doesn't matter which one you click on. You're going to go to anchors and you're going to hold down Control and Shift and click on this big one right here. And then you're going to go to anchors again, hold down Control and Shift and click on the center one. And it'll center it. You can see how it's made it as big as the screen and it's centered it. And then we'll do the same thing for the sprint stamina bar. So anchors, this one right here in the bottom right-hand corner, Control and Shift together with left click. And then do the centering one, Control, Shift, and left click. And it puts it in the center. And so now our indicator and our stamina bar are in the correct position on the screen. or at least on this widget, not on the screen, right? But it will be when we hit play. So the separation you're asking about before, I think it was Hayden that was asking. This is great because this HUD will have no code in it. It just houses all the other stuff, right? The same
Right,
thing.
yeah.
So. All right, I'll give you guys a second to get that sorted.
That was adding to the indicator widget we already made before, right? Or was this a new one altogether?
No, it's the one we created before with the little dot in the center. That's all we're doing is we're just re-adding it to this one because we're going to actually change this midterm game HUD that's currently pointing to the player indicator. We're going to point it to this player HUD. It's a good question. So let's do that now. So we'll move this out of the way. We'll go to we're in content browser user interface, midterm game HUD, this one right here. And you can see right here where we have this create player indicator widget, and we're setting it and we're adding it to the viewport. What we're going to do is we're going to delete this create player indicator widget, and we're going to delete that setter. So we're going to delete both of those. And then also right here in my blueprint panel, the variables category, we're going to remove this player indicator as well. We're going to get rid of it. And I just clicked on it and hit the delete key to do that. Or you can right click and say delete, either one. Compile and save. Awesome. So what we did before with the player indicator, we're going to do kind of the same thing. So we're going to come out of this begin play. We're going to type in create widget for in this context sensitive menu here. And right there it is, create widget. And instead of typing in player indicator right here, we're going to type in WBP player HUD, their search. And there it is. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to return this as a variable. So return value, promote to variable, and we're going to name it WBP player HUD. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before and connect it to the viewport here, just like so. And we'll compile and save. All right. So now let's test it. So I'm going to move this out of the way. We'll go to our level editor, hit play, and you can see now I have a stamina bar and I have my indicator. Wherever I move, that stamina bar is always there and our indicator is always there. And I guess I need to, oh, I have the shift button. It's fine. Okay, so we'll have to fix that in a minute. So it should work. If you got it working, you got all that going, then give me a thumbs up and we'll move to the more difficult stuff. Dan, awesome. Madison, Hayden, great.
How did you pull the HUD into there again in the the game HUD?
So in midterm game HUD, we're coming out of event begin play, and we're going to type in create widget. And then when I do, it's looking for the class, and the class I want is WBP player HUD. and then I promote it to a variable, right? And then I connect it to the add viewport. Cool. James, Matt, awesome. Get one more person. Give me a thumbs up and then we'll move on. There it is. Okay. So let's see, what do we want to do? We got plan. Okay, let's go to the our blueprints folder, and we're going to go to our character, our BP first person character. We'll open that guy up. And we did already create some logic here, but I'm going to remove it all. We'll just remove all that. And my bool that I just created, compile and save that. And if you have it, that's great. If not, that's all right. I'm just going to go through it again. Oh, we also need to do one other thing. So maybe you did or have not, but you need to go to your project settings. And if you haven't gone to your project setting or don't know how to get there, or you don't have it, all you have to do is go to edit, in our level editor, by the way, edit project settings. And inside there, you want to go to the input category under engine input. And then you want to add a sprint button. So I'm going to remove this one and we'll just do it again. So right here, action mappings, we're going to click that plus. We're going to name it sprint. And then I'm going to click on this guy. And as soon as I do, it's looking for me to press the next key. And I'm just going to hit shift because that's what I like my sprint to be. But you can do it whatever you want, space bar or whatever, it doesn't matter. So as long as that's set, which I assume it is because that's what we did already, then we can come into our first person character blueprint. We can right click and type in sprint. And you can see right here, action event sprint. And now anytime the user presses the key that we've defined inside our project settings, which we've defined it as left shift, something will happen, whatever that is, right? And then we obviously want them to run faster. And then when they release that button, then we can either say stop sprinting or whatever, right? Whatever event we want to happen. Okay, so we'll compile, save this, let's go, and we're gonna do, what do we need to do?
Professor.
Yes.
How'd you able to pull the input action sprint?
So what I did is I went to the project settings.
Okay.
And in there, I went to the engine category input. And then I added sprint to our action mappings right here.
Okay.
And then as soon as this is added, so I'll add another one. We'll just call this bacon is awesome. Doesn't matter what we do. And we'll do the P key. There we go. And then I can type in whatever I've named that action mapping. So you can see here we have bacon is awesome because it's coming from our project settings. You see that?
Oh, it's because, oh, okay. I couldn't do it because I forgot to stop the viewport. I was like, what the is that?
All right, cool.
Yeah, I had that issue too. You can't edit the blueprints while the game's test playing.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, yeah. You can't mess with it while it's playing. Okay, so let's see. What do we need to do? We need to first get the game HUD. We need to get this as a reference. And once we have this game HUD, then we can get the player HUD. And inside the player HUD is the stamina bar. And inside the stamina bar is this logic. So we're going to like step into it, step into it, step into it, step into it. And then when we get there, we'll have this. And then we can do whatever we want with the percentage stuff. So in order to do that, we need to, let's see, we'll do anywhere, we're in the character, by the way, first person character in the event graph. We're going to right click anywhere in there. And when you do, the context menu comes up and we're going to type in begin play. This one right here is the one we're looking for, event begin play. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, get that player HUD at the beginning of the game, and then later we can call it as we need it. We can, it's just a reference for us to call later. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do get actor of class, and you'll notice there's two of them. One is plural and one is not. The one we want is the non-plural one. Get actor of class. Get actor of class. This one. We only need the game HUD. We don't need all the game HUDs, right? And the one we're looking for is this right here, this blueprint we created called MidTerm game HUD. So MidTerm game HUD. And we're going to promote that to a variable. So we're going to call it MidTerm game HUD, because that's what it is.
Sorry, sir. My PC just blacked out on me, and I kind of missed like the portion. I was like, oh my god.
Okay. Well, all we did was add a get actor of class node, and then save that as a variable, and did this MidTerm game HUD as the actor class that we're looking for. And this is all in first person character. And of course, it'll also be in the video too. Okay, so that's set. So now what we can do is let's go to our character movements. Inside our components, we're going to select character movements. If I remember from last time, it is not max walk speed, but it's like max speed or something like that. So I'm going to drag this guy out. And I'm going to type in, I think it's max speed. Here it is, get max speed. Get max custom speed. Ooh, we can modify the custom speed. Okay, that's cool. Get max speed. Okay, and then let's do the get max. Sorry, not get max speed. It's going to be set max custom speed, movement speed. I'm using custom movement mode. Oh. How do you use custom movement mode? Let's see. Maybe it is just walk speed. Minimum analog speed, braking. Movement, it's network. Swimming, oh, here it is, custom movement speed 600. Okay, actually, we'll probably keep doing the max walk speed. Let's look again. Max speed. Get max speed. Returns the minimum speed component. Can I do set max speed? Oh, no, that's fly. It's swim. It's custom. It's jump. See, it only lets me set the what else can I do? Max speed. Max. Oh. Modify speed. I do. No, that's only returns true if current velocity is exceeding. Oh, that's just velocity. No. This is return speed a component of current movement mode.
Is it the set max custom movement speed?
Well, the problem is that only if we're doing the custom movement speed. So we would have to say when they press shift, then they're doing a custom movement speed, and then when they're not pressing shift, they wouldn't. So there's got to be some like custom. Yeah, here it is. Get custom movement mode. We have to say, or let's see, set custom movement mode. No, see, it doesn't allow us to do that. What values do we have here? Oops, wrong one. Byte. Oh, it's only a byte. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We'll just do walk speed. I don't want to get into crazy code here. So we'll just do get walk speed, get walk speed, and then we also need to do set walk speed. And so we'll mess with those in just a second. And then we also need to get our midterm game HUD. The reference we created are the variable we've created. So we'll grab that. And we're doing a getter again. And then inside that game HUD is our player HUD. So we're going to do get player HUD. There it is, WBP player HUD. And then inside player HUD is our stamina bar. So we'll do WBP stamina bar, our sprint stamina bar, sorry, that's what I called it. So we're gonna get that guy. And then inside there is our logic that we created, which we called set stamina progress percentage. Set stamina progress percentage. There we go. So we're going to need this. And remember, this is going to tick down as they're pressing the sprint, and it's going to tick back up as they let go of the sprint until it gets to 1 or 100, right? Something of mine, I need to restart Unreal, no problem. Let's compile and save. Once you guys have these two and this sprint action, if you have those three actually, let me know, give me a thumbs up and we'll move on.
I'm not getting any of those other targets after the first one. I have the first variable, but then it doesn't pull up any other HUD variables.
Under midterm game HUD?
Yeah, even if I do WBP, it pulls up nothing. It's just an empty menu.
Okay, so go to midterm game HUD. And then right here where you've created your player HUD widget, did you save it as a variable?
Yeah.
And what is the variable name?
It's just new variable because I was just trying to keep up. But as soon as I pull off that new variable and I type in WBP, it doesn't go to anything else.
That's okay. So if you name it, the reason it's working for me as WBP player HUD is because I named it that. For you, it's probably going to be new variable.
Okay. I gotcha.
So I had this amazing hamburger salad for dinner tonight. It's delicious. Y'all should all feel jealous and envious of my delicious hamburger salad. I still have some left. Look at that.
So bad news is it didn't save all my progress for it didn't save the part where I plug in the HUD for the indicator and the stamina bar into the player. I was like, damn.
Okay, how about this? What I'll do is I'm going to put the entire project that I'm working on, but of course you have to have 427. I'm going to put the entire project on the Google Drive, the same Google Drive where the announcements, not just for you, but for everybody, so that everyone can be caught up. So if you go to the assignments and you go to the midterm, there's a Google Drive link, right, where you can find unofficial references, and of course this is where you'll turn your stuff in later. But I will also zip up the entire project, and you can see how I've done things. So that way, everyone, when we come back on Tuesday, everyone is the exact same place, whether you jacked mine or you've been following along the videos or whatever, right? So don't stress, guys, don't stress. Just it's about learning, okay? And if you're struggling, that means you're learning. It sucks sometimes, but
must be learning a lot then.
Yeah, right. when I was teaching in the class versus remote, man, I had some students like grabbing the monitor, like, why is it not working? I'm like, whoa, calm down, this is school equipment, calm down, it's okay. And maybe occasionally I've done that too, don't tell nobody, but not the school equipment on my own, right? When I get killed by those guys in Call of Duty because I'm like old now and can't see too well. Where were we? Okay, so max input speed, what do we want to do? So when they press the button, so we'll do a little bit of pseudocode here. We'll say when they press the sprint button, then we want to tick the progress percentage away, tick stamina away, and give a larger max speed, right? And then when they release the button, oops, when they release the button, then release, then we return max speed back to normal, and we tick the percentage back up till it's at 1. And also the same thing here. We tick this away, but then we also have to have an if statement. If the percentage is at 0, then stop the ticking away and return player speed back to normal. Right, so this is sort of like, this is not just release, this is actually gonna be a release or 0 stamina, right? Soul Smiths have been learning so much, but it's fun sometimes. That's awesome. That's awesome. You don't have to type in these comments, by the way. But this is kind of like for, well, obviously normally it would be in the design doc, but it's helpful for like, instead of starting with a blank slate of like, what do I do? I don't know, right? It's just empty. You can kind of like almost push yourself through once you get a little bit of the basics down. And there's a lot of repetition going on. Hopefully you guys see that you know, as you get some of these basics down, you'll be like, okay, if I just write this down of like how I want to do it, maybe I can try and figure out what I want to do and how it should work. And you can totally like break everything, and that's okay. All right, so let's see. When I press the button, we want to take the stamina away and give max speed. So let's just do this max speed stuff. So we're going to go max walk speed. I think I had it at a 10,000 last time, but I'm just going to do 1,000. And once it's set, once they're going 1,000, then I want to, I'm going to put this over here for now. I want to tick away stamina. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an event timer. We did this before, so I'm going to do event, set timer by event. This guy. And while you guys are clicking on that and setting it up, I'll explain why this is better performance than using event tick, and only slightly so. So event tick, and I'm hovering over right now, so if you're looking at my screen, it says that it's called every single frame. So if you have a 60 FPS game, right, you're playing 60 FPS, that means all of the logic that's in here is firing off every frame, every single frame, versus our set timer that we can set, you know, to take away every, you know, 10th of a second, right? Or even 100th of a second, which is definitely not 60 FPS. It's much slower. So because it's that event or that logic is firing less often, you're not going to have as much hitching or like lag, you know, video lag or whatever. But that's what happens when you're playing your game and they have, you know, there are some things that do have to be on event tick, and you don't have the processing power of the computer to run it. It's because of this right here, the event tick. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out from this event. We're going to do create event. If I could spell, that would work. Create event. There it is. We'll come back to that in just a second. Our timer, we will tick away every 10th of a second, and we're going to take away however much we want every 10th of a second. And of course, it's going to be looping, right? So it needs to fire boom, 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 and it's just going to keep going and going and going until we say to stop. If you're programming at all, you need comments, James says, and you're right. For what I'm doing right now is comments only for me, right? But when you're working with a team, you totally want to comment things that are verbose or don't, you know, sort of are not so readable. So other programmers who are working in your same code, even, and this is code, even though it's like visual, it's the same idea. Okay, so what are we doing? So the next thing we're gonna do is return value, and we're gonna promote that to a variable. We're gonna call this, we'll call this one stamina. I want to call takeaway. We'll do stamina minus timer event, because we're gonna create this exact same thing, but we're going to do stamina plus. And I'm going to move some of this out of the way so we can really get into this a little bit more. Okay. So right here, where it says create event, we have this drop down called select function. We're going to go into there and we're going to say create matching event. And it'll create this event here. We can leave it as event custom 01. That's fine. And I grabbed it and I dragged it closer to this stuff, to the stuff we're working on right now. And if we want to be really, really high speed, we can rename this custom event to stamina minus custom event or something like that. It doesn't matter what we name it. And then as soon as I did that, see right here, stamina minus, my create event is complaining, error, I can't find that custom event 0. I don't see that anymore. It's because I renamed it. So we just have to go in here and find stamina minus custom event. There we go. All right, so now we're kind of here at like, if the percentage is at 0, then we're going to stop taking the progress away. So I'm going to drag out from here. Actually, no, I'm not. I take that back. I am going to grab these 3 guys that I just created, this midterm, player HUD, stamina bar. I'm going to grab all 3 of those. I'm going to Control C for copying and then Control V to paste it. And then I'm going to come out of the stamina bar, create a noodle there. And I'm going to do get percentage. I think it's percent. Why can I get it? Oh, sorry. It's going to be sprint stamina bar is what it's called. That's what I named it. So we're going to come out here, sprint stamina bar. There it is. This one right here, variables get sprint stamina bar. You've named it something different, but hopefully you didn't. And then I'm going to come out of that stamina bar. I'm going to do get percentage. There it is, get percentage. There's actually better ways of doing this, but I want you guys to see the kind of clarity of like I'm diving deep into each of these widgets to get exactly what I want. All right, so I have this percentage now, and what I want to do is I want to say, is it equal to or less than 0? If it is, then we want to stop ticking. So we're going to grab this guy, the percent. We're going to create a noodle, and we're going to go less than or equal to. So less than symbol, equal symbol. And as soon as I type that in, it's giving me a float less than equal to float. And Unreal is pretty good about zeroing things out. So that's exactly what we want. We want to say if it's less than or equal to 0, then what happens? And you can see I have this Boolean or this red, right, which is a Boolean. So I can come out of there and we can do a branch.
Hey, Professor, you think you can help me quick?
What's the issue?
I'm unable to like plug in the player HUD to the viewport. Says there was an error on my blueprint.
You're not able to do this part?
Yeah, and because
Do you,
it's
do you have the class in?
yeah, the class on.
Okay, share your screen. We'll take a look real quick. While the rest of you guys are sort of still doing the percent stuff.
Okay, so I already identified, and then it says that object reference not compatible with user widget object reference.
Okay, so let's see. That is going to be player HUD. So it looks like you have two player HUDs. Go to your the midterm map. The midterm map. Yes, that one. And then let's see. You have player HUD. Double click the player HUD, or sorry, hover over it. Hover over it. Hover over the player indicator. Go to player. Why is it acting weird? Okay, go back to game, the midterm game HUD, the one you were just working on. Yep. What I want you to do is I want you to delete that set player HUD. Yeah, you can delete that too. It's fine. Delete all three of those. Delete, delete, delete. Yep. And then I also want you to delete in your My Blueprints panel on the left-hand side. It says Player HUD under the Variables category. Delete that. Yep. Okay, now start over and do a Create Widget. There you go. And then set it. There you go. And now return out a value and promote that to a variable. There you go. And then name it what WBP underscore Player HUD. It's because we're all watching. You struggle and spell. There you go. Good job. And now come out of the that one and do add to viewport. There you go. No. Well, yeah, that's fine. And then delete that that node right there. Yes. Yes. And then compile, and you're good.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, God. I don't know what's wrong with. I don't know what's wrong with it.
It was because you had a different you guys see my screen? Oh no, Zoom crash.
Okay, gotcha.
Hold on, guys, my Zoom crashed. Let's see. Stop sharing. Share again.
I think this happened last time, and that's one reason why I had
Last
trouble
time?
getting to it, because it crashed right before you were telling us about the event timing.
Okay, I think it's gonna fix itself now. Let's see. I'm 2 recordings. Actually, I'll be able to merge it in Premiere, so it should be fine. But it's gonna take me a minute to do that because it's so big.
Sarah, what's that one off of the green percent?
This one right here, it's a less than or equal to. So I just dragged out from here and I typed in the less than symbol and the equal than symbol. And then we have float is less than or equal to float. And that's what we want.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so if it's 0 or less than 0, if it happens to be that, then we want to stop our timer. So we're going to grab that stamina minus timer event, and we're going to do a getter, and then we're going to come out from there and we're going to do clear and invalidate. And what that does is just stops that particular timer. Right. So this is saying if it's 0, then it's done. The other thing we need to do is we need to set the max walk speed back to its default value, right? Because we said if it's 0, then we put it back to normal. So I just copied the where we set it earlier. I just copied it and then pasted it over here. And then I'm changing that value back to 600. And then we'll connect up the execution pins, the white pin, we'll just add connection right there. That's pretty easy, right? So if it is 0, if it's ticking away, or if until it gets to 0, then we'll just put it back and stop the timer. If it is not 0, right? It's not 0 yet. Then we need to tick away some time, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to let's see, what do we want to do? We want to have a we probably want to have a sprint value or sprint tick. We'll do TikToks. Yes, sprint tick tock, and then that's probably going to be a float. And right now I'm doing this because I'm not exactly sure how I want you guys to do it. Pile that, set that at 1, and and what I want to do is I want to tick a little bit away from it. Actually, we'll leave that the way that is, and actually I'll change this to -1, and then I'll duplicate this guy, and this is just going to be we'll say current sprint value, and that one will start at 1. And so what we need to do, I think, is we need to get this current sprint value and then subtract the TikTok from it because we're taking it away, and then setting our new sprint value and then plugging that into our percentage.
Hang on, what's that branch in the middle there between current sprint value and sprint TikTok?
Okay, so I went super fast because I'm trying to think about how I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to slow down and I'm going to do it with you guys. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I need like a current sprint value of where is the percentage at right now? Is it at 100%? Is it 60? Is it 50? Where is it at right now? I need to know what that value is. And then every 0.1 of a second, I'm going to take away however much, and that's what that TikTok is, right? Because I'm minusing it. First thing we need is a variable. So I'm going to go to my blueprint, the variables category, new variable, and we'll name this current sprint stamina value. It doesn't matter, something like that. And we'll compile it, and we're going to set the default value under the details panel. Oh, by the way, if you don't have a variable type as a float, you can click on that. It probably starts as a Boolean. It probably looks like that. Just click on float. We want it to be a float value. Compile it, and as soon as you do, you'll have this current sprint value. What is the default value? And we want to set it to 1 because, right, we're starting the game with full sprint available to the player, and then as a press the shift key, then we take some of it away. Then we need another variable, and this one will be called sprint tick-tock. And this is going to be the value that we're going to take away every second or whatever, right? In our case, we're this 0.1, so we're going to take it away, but we're also going to use that exact same value to give it back to the player when they let go of the key. So that's why I'm calling it sprint tick-tock. So it's going to tick away, and then it'll talk back once they let go of the key. All right, so I need to get the current value of the sprint, and then I need to, because we're taking it away, I need to get the current tick-tock value of how much do I want to take away every second, tenth of a second, and I'm going to subtract those two. So I'm doing a drag out from current sprint stamina. I hit the minus key, and then you can see right here it says float minus float, and that's where I'm getting that that middle one that you were talking about before. How did you get that? And I just connected the other, our sprint tick-tock to the other green connection right there.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. So then after I subtract it, I'm going to set the current sprint value as its new value, whatever that is. So we're going to grab our current sprint value and we're going to set it as its new value, right? So we're like, here, it's at 50% now, or 50 or whatever. I ticked away 1, so now it's at 40, right? So we're setting it at 40. And then I tick again, it's at 40, I tick a 1 away, and now it's at 30, and so on and so forth, right? So we're going to do that. And then we're going to connect this into the in percentage as well. So all this is doing right here is our visuals, right? And this is what we said before. This is just visuals, and you don't need to add a comment. And this is the actual like logical values that are important for the player character, because we're checking it right here, right? We're checking check actual logic. And actually, since we just did this is actually wrong. This is going to be the wrong way, because I'm not checking actual logic right here. I'm actually checking the display, right? So this is all wrong. So I need to change this. And I told you guys that I haven't done this. So we'll work through whatever problems we're running into. And here's a good problem, right? I'm checking the display version and not this guy. So there could be a case where this is jacked up, right? It's not right. It could be something wrong completely. So what we'll do is we'll just get rid of this, get rid of that. We'll leave that minus that less than or equal to, but we're going to do current sprint stamina value like that. And so now it's actually checking the logic inside the our player character. Let's compile and save. And actually, I will move this away so you guys can kind of see what I've done. And by the way, make sure your sprint tick-tock is not at 1. It needs to be point. Oh, I didn't even set a value. 0.1 is what it needs to be. Sprint tick-tock needs to be 0.1. So it'll be 10, 90, 80, 70, 60, and so on. And your
Wasn't
current
the stamina bar value at 1 as well?
the stamina bar value is 1. The tick-tock is 0.1. So
Right,
it'll
but
be
if it's
0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6.
If it's ticking also at 0.1 times per second, then it'll tick down in 1 second.
You might be right.
Right?
I think so. Let's leave it how it is and we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure you're right. So we'll hit play. We'll do it, and there you go. So I don't have much stamina. You're absolutely right. So
Okay, my stamina bar is depleting instantly.
check your set timer by event and see how what value you have. I have 0.1 there as well.
Yeah, my time's at 0.1 as well.
And you could change it to whatever you think is better. So I'll change mine to like half a second. And we'll see how that feels. And actually, a 1,000 walk speed doesn't feel that great either. So let's give it a little bit more. What are we doing? 1,000 right here. Let's change that. Let's do like 2,000. Yeah, there we go. I'm definitely sprinting now. 2,000 is too much. Let's do 1,500. That feels better. That still might be too much. 1,200, that's double. Yeah, that feels good. And that's more design than programming, right? You would expose these values to your designers to let them mess with it until it feels good to them. Okay, so it's ticking away. I got it a half a second. That looks good. Something else we could do is instead of it being like 0.1, we could change it to 0.01. And then maybe we change this from half a second that I have it now back to the 0.1. And it'll look a little bit more smooth when it takes the value away. See, it looks a little bit smoother. Of course, you get a lot longer run.
I'm sorry, could you redo what you just did
Yeah.
to make it smoother?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did is I went to Sprint TikTok and I changed it from 0.1, which it was before, to 0.01. So now we're doing it every 100th of our, like, so we're doing it instead of at 100, 90, 80, 70, we're actually doing 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, and so on. And then, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Have we made it where it regenerates yet? Because after this, okay.
No. We're still only minus right now.
Just making sure. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. So Sprint TikTok at 0.01, and then I changed the timer event right here back to 0.1. So it's firing every 1/10 of a second. As long as I'm holding down the shift button.
I'm assuming the regen will be similar to the one that you said less than or equal to. But it'll be probably based on how long they've not touched the button.
Exactly. So what we need to do now, and you're absolutely right. So what we're going to do is basically copy all of this, and I'm just going to copy all of it, copy, and then I'm going to paste it all again. And this is going to be for the regenning, right? So if they let go of the release key, then we need to set the max walk speed at 600, not 6,000, sorry, 600, because that's what the original speed was. Then we need to see what the sprint value, current sprint value is before we do the timer. Because if the sprint value is already at 100, we don't need to do anything, right? And so we're going to do, is it greater than or equal to? And of course, if it's greater than or equal to 1. We'll build a branch here. Do a little bit of code cleanup, make it look nice. So if that's true, if it's already at 1, we don't need to do anything. But if it's not at 1, then we need to do, then we need to make it add upwards, right? So we'll have our set timer. This stamina minus timer event, we need to remove that. And we need to create a new return value. So we're going to do promote to variable. And this will be stamina plus timer. Terrible names, but whatever. And I got all this stuff going on here. So let me move some of this out of the way. Grab all this. This is all going to get connected to the minus here in just a second. Okay. So stamina plus timer. Right here where it says create event, we're going to do the same thing we did before. Obviously, we can't do the stamina minus custom event, right? Because we're doing a plus one. So we'll do create matching event. And we'll name this one stamina plus custom event. And I'll grab that red node and drag it over to where we're working. And you can see we have this custom event right here. Actually, I probably could have just renamed that one. Blah. But that's fine. It's okay. It's all right. And then we'll just connect that execution pin. Okay, and it's complaining again, create events. Can't find the custom event 0. So we'll go and we will do stamina plus custom event. There we go. So it's actually looking for this red guy right here. And it'll tick that red guy every 10th of a second.
Could you pan out a little?
Yes,
I
yeah.
missed,
This is what you're looking for right
okay.
here.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is all we've done so far. Of course, I copied and pasted this over here, but we're going to change some of that. I thought we were going to get into this cube stuff, but this is actually way funner. So cool.
I believe the term you're looking for is way more fun.
Way more funnerist. You're right.
Because like I think everything's set in for the sprint because like
This one?
I like everything about the sprint function because my computer blacked out and then I had to like redo everything like the blueprints for the HUD. And, you know, I'm like
Okay.
like 30 minutes behind. I was like, damn.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine, Dan. We can talk after class, or we can talk. You can message me on Discord or whatever. Completely lost, so I'll have to go back to the video. Same for you, Alex. You guys can totally message me anytime, watch the video or whatever. But I'm going to continue with for everybody else.
No worries.
Okay, cool. So stamina plus custom event. So that's where we are. And then what we want to do is say, is the current stamina value at 1? So we need to remove this less than or equal because we're checking to see if it's greater than or equal to 1. And we'll change that to 1. And so this is the same thing we just did over here, right? We're just seeing, is it greater than or equal to 1? Oops. And if it is greater than or equal to 1, then we will clear and invalidate the stamina plus timer. What did I say? Timer event? I did do timer event. Sorry. So plus timer event. And I did that by hitting F2 to rename it, or you can just right click and say rename under my variables. Anyway, we are clearing and invalidating the plus timer event, right? Stop it from adding back up. And then max walk speed, we actually don't need that. We can get rid of that because we're already setting it right away. As soon as they let go of the key, we're going to set it right back to 600. Okay, so if it is not at 1 yet, then we need to add, right? So we'll remove this minus. We'll come out of here and we'll do plus, and we have float plus float. We'll connect those guys like that, and then this guy right there. And so it's the exact same sort of setup. And let me bring this a little bit closer so I can make this a little bit bigger screen. And for those of you who do need help, Saturday morning, I will be out until probably around 1 p.m. But you guys can message me anytime after that. And of course, I'm free probably after 4 p.m. on Friday until, who knows, midnight or something.
All right, cool.
All right, so let's connect this up. So now I'm going to grab this guy right here where we have this we have this set max walk speed, and I'm going to connect our release to it. And so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to get rid of these guys, and I'm going to bring this one up here and this one down here. And there you go. Okay, so there's still quite a few problems that I already could see. And the first problem, actually let's compile and save, and then we can talk about some of the problems that I'm already seeing. And this sort of comes from experience more than figuring out. Actually, you know what? Before I show you or before I do the problems, let's just play the game and see what happens. So let's hit play. I do the minusing, and then when I let go, here's our problem. And what's happening is our ticking away is ticking away, but we never clear it out unless it equals, unless it's 0, right? And our plus tick, our talk, is actually adding to it until it gets to 1. So it's constantly doing this back and forth. So what we need to do is say, if I let go of the key, then invalidate all of them. And if I press the key, invalidate all of them immediately as well. So it just sort of like clears everything. And so I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we have this clear and invalidate handler. See this guy right here? We're going to grab this guy. We're going to copy it. And then we're going to go right here where it says press. Actually, you know what? I'll paste it first. We need to paste it first. And then we'll go in like this. And I don't think I can do both at the same time. Let's see. No, I can't. So what I'll do again is I will paste it again. And then I want the -1. So we're clearing out both the plus and the minus timer events. And then we'll connect to our setting those values up. And then we're going to grab these guys and we're going to do the exact same thing for our release. Connect that up like that. And let's make it look pretty. So I drag these guys out a little bit. Drag this guy. This is where we do, mom spaghetti and stuff like that. Because we're making so many noodles. Awesome. Looks much better. So if the timer event never fired, then it doesn't care. It's fine. But if the timer event did fire, it's going to clear it out whether we press or release. This should fix our problem. So we'll go ahead and play, and then I'll show you I'll stop for a second. So you can see I'm pressing the sprint key, it's ticking away. I let go of the sprint key, and now it's ticking back. And I press the sprint key, and it knows exactly where the value is. And then I let go of the sprint key, and it's ticking back. So now we have a stamina bar. There's still some problems with it, such as, maybe we only want the stamina bar to fill up when the player is stopped and not necessarily walking. What happens if I'm holding the shift key down, but I'm not moving? See, it's still ticking away. So there are some problems with it, but we're going to leave it this way. This is it. We're just going to leave it that way. And we can, if you want to add more features like that, then by all means go to town. But for now, we'll just leave it like that because I want to get into some more stuff in the future. Okay, so I'll show you this again. We just clear and invalidate both the plus and the minus, and we will also do it again on a release. All right, what questions do you have? Actually, I will stop the stream. We're going to stop right there for today.